What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Disc Golf Nerd Plastic Podcast. The off season that no one expected continues to roll along. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has made some very unpopular moves regarding its media plans for 2019. I am reserving judgment, and I'm not going to kind of break all that down from my perspective until they release their media plan. They're trying to put together a formal announcement of what their actual plans will be. All we know right now is that it's very likely the kind of staples of our sport, Jomez, Central Coast, and Smashbox, will not be involved with the Disc Golf Pro Tour in 2019. I think that's a huge miss and extremely unfortunate. For Smashbox in particular, I am personally hurt by it. It doesn't seem like I should be. I kind of would rather I'm not. I wasn't. But like Steve came on the show and he told everybody what Terry and Johnny already knew, which was that Smashbox will not be involved with the tour in 2019. And it broke my heart. I'm involved with both entities in some way. You know, I provide content for Smashbox. I provide a little bit of content for the Disc Golf Pro Tour as well. That relationship came directly out of my relationship with Smashbox. And I think they've done an incredible job with a very small budget. And it just hurts. It breaks my heart. I don't like it at all. I didn't go right into a podcast about this topic right after all of this came out because I'm trying to wait to let them bring out their full media plan, let us know what they actually intend to do, not just like speculate on what they're not doing. Also, I needed a little bit of time to let all this settle in because I'm taking it all very personally, and I know I'm going to get super worked up when I get into it. Even just thinking about it right now, I could go on an easy half-hour rant about this situation and all the reasons why I'm already upset about the way this is trending. But we're going to just take a step back, let it simmer for a minute, collect my thoughts, take a few deep breaths, wait for them to unveil their plans, and we'll go from there. I'll let you guys know. Not that I'm like some big deal and you guys are on the edge of your seat you just can't wait to hear what I have to say about this. But that is the thing. If you think it's weird that I'm not addressing it yet, that's why. Man. Ugh. It hurts so far, though. It really hurts. It was not cool at all to see Terry and Johnny, Paul Mcbeth. It was funny the way he said it. You know, he's kind of ribbing them how it was just super awkward to see them get fired on their own show. And Terry and Johnny cracked up, when he said it. It was definitely funny. I laughed watching that, but I was not laughing the night that Steve came on and announced they would not be part of the 2019 tour. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. They were already broadcasting on the Disc Golf Pro Tour channel. So you're saying, oh, we're bringing it in-house. We're going to hire a media team in-house. I mean, you basically already did that. So I don't know. I don't get it. I think there's more to it that we're not getting. There's another side of the story that we're not hearing. I don't know what it is, but we'll see what happens. I just really hope that the Disc Golf Pro Tour can figure out a way to still bring us really great coverage that everybody enjoys and that people will want to watch. I'm not super concerned for Jomez because I think they'll find plenty of things to cover and other interesting things to do, and they will continue to be an absolute powerhouse in the media game for our sport. Oh, man. What a mess. Absolute mess. I'm going to wait. That's it. That's all I'm talking about for that. Let's talk about Paul Mcbeth. Oh, wait. Actually, no. Let's talk about Ricky first. No announcement from Ricky in a official capacity, but we know he's gone from Latitude 64. I would essentially bet anything right now that he's going to Innova. I can't see it going any other way. I'll say it right now, 9:43 a.m. as I'm recording this podcast on what the hell date is it today? It's the 26th of November. I would bet anything that he's going to Innova. I do not see it going any other way. Nothing else makes sense to me. Yeah, that's it. I thought about it last night. Wouldn't it be a hilarious, just crazy left field move if all of a sudden popped up Ricky goes to MVP in Axiom? Like they just splashed out a ton of money. They threw everything behind it. and they just tried to bring in Rick. Like, that would be incredible. That would be so funny, and I would love to see that. That would just be a trip. I would love to see that. And if it's not gonna happen, but but if that did happen, and Ricky was like had like a signature envy or something like that, damn, it would almost certainly go straight back in my bag. I'm that silly. But anyway, I digress. He's going to Innova. It's gonna happen. The reason I'm bringing this up right now is because Latitude 64 this morning announced the new discs they have coming out for 2019, the Pioneer, which is an overstable fairway driver, and something else. I think it's the Recon, which is an overstable kind of controlled distance driver. Now, the interesting thing about this, if you happen to run into the Rickmobile out there on tour, or just in pictures or something on Instagram or whatever, you may have noticed that he had 3 different signature discs listed on his van wrap for his Sprinter that he's been using for tour. The Compass, the Explorer, we obviously know what those are, and the Pioneer. That was already on there when he got the wrap done last season. So they already knew this was coming. But now the disc is coming out in 2019, and they don't have Rick anymore. So it's a signature disc without Ricky, as will be the Explorer, because I'm sure they're going to keep making those. A ton of people are throwing those. It's a great disc. And I'm hoping the Compass is the same way. I hope they just continue rocking the Compass. Maybe somebody else will get one of those discs as a signature mold. Maybe they'll bring in Kevin Jones. He'll get the Explorer. I have absolutely no idea. We'll see where that goes. But I thought that was interesting. Ricky's new signature disc is announced, but no Ricky anymore. So now they probably have to revamp the stamp, and here we go. No more Rick. Now it's just the Pioneer. Interesting times. Okay, so Paul Mcbeth is going to Discraft. It's a done deal. We all know about it by now. The reason, or the way we all found out, for the most part, other than people who kind of knew this from behind the scenes and whatever else, like I have no doubt whatsoever that Terry Miller knew about this long before most people, and he admitted on Smashbox that he was basically trying to throw people off the scent, off the trail, basically by, like, he was trolling people by saying, oh, think outside the box. I would bet he doesn't go to Discraft. He was just trolling. He knew this was happening. He was just trying to mess with people, and that's not terribly surprising from Terry. So Paul Mcbeth makes his move. New sponsor announcement video was put out on the Jomez channel 1 week ago. It has about 100,000 views in 1 week. It pulled in, like, I don't know, I forget, probably like 80,000 views in the first, like, day or two. I mean, people just flocked to this video. A couple things about the video. A, the fact that Paul Mcbeth chose to announce this news in this manner by using Jomez and announcing it on Jomez's channel is another huge piece of evidence to support my claim that Jomez is the most important media entity in our sport, hands down. Is that not fair? Does that not make sense? That the most high-profile sponsorship change in the history of disc golf, including the most popular and famous disc golfer in the history of the world, he chose to go to Jomez and announce it in that manner. Why? Because they have more eyeballs than everybody else. Why do they have more eyeballs than everybody else? Because they're the best. Pure and simple. They put out the best product, and people flock to them, and they are having a giant impact on our game. One thing about this video, I thought it was pretty corny. Sorry, my opinion. I thought it was pretty cheesy. The kind of fake announcement, like he's at a tournament and then he waves to the crowd that's clearly not there, and the canned applause from the crowd noise. I liked how they went into the slow-mo black and white of him rubbing the tee pad and all that kind of stuff, but then he does the watch this, he does the kind of like 1993 Arnold Schwarzenegger movie kind of catchphrase. I thought it was pretty cheesy. I would have preferred Paul would just been like, hey guys, tons of talk about this, and I'm excited to announce that I'll be throwing Discraft in 2019. I think that would have been fine. Your opinion may vary from mine, of course, but that's how I felt about it. I thought it was pretty cheesy, but to be perfectly honest with you guys, in my own personal opinion, I think Paul is quite prone to cheesy things like that. You know, he'll put up kind of quasi-motivational hip-hop lyric things on Instagram and stuff, and it's just not my cup of tea. I've never really enjoyed kind of any of that stuff with Paul. That's why he's not my favorite player or even close to it. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Paul and his skill, and even though I don't want to see him win the average event, I love watching him play because he's amazing, and I love the lines that he can throw, and I'm telling you guys right now, he's going to be unbelievable with a buzz. I cannot wait to see the shots that this guy is going to throw with a freaking buzz. The buzz is such a good disc, and like watching a guy like Nate Doss throw the buzz and knowing how good Paul Mcbeth is at throwing mid-ranges, he's going to be throwing some absolutely bananas shots with buzzes out there on the course. Just undoubtedly, there's no doubt about it. He's going to throw some incredible shots with the buzz. So we know he's throwing Undertakers. I'm sure he's going to throw the buzz. We talked about testing buzzes, ESP buzzes, Z zones, very likely as well. We saw like a spoiler kind of leak of this image start floating around with 4 different molds: Z Force, ESP Buzz, the Undertaker, and the Z Zone. I forget what plastic the Undertaker was in that picture. It was either ESP or Z. I can't remember. So we know he's going to be throwing those. I already speculated on what else I think he might be throwing. For the putters, I think he's going to go Roach, maybe Challenger SS. I'm really not sure. I would like to see him throw magnets. I think magnets would be a great option. I'm a huge magnet guy, so that's part of the deal, I guess. But we'll see. I'm really not sure there. The Challenger, regular Challenger might be a thing, or maybe the Challenger SS is definitely very AVR-like. So I could see that being a great mold for him. He's definitely going to be throwing the zone, as I already predicted. He'd be a fool to not at least have a zone in the bag. It's a great utility disc, short-range disc. I'm sure he'll be really effective with that on forehand approaches if he ever needs to. Although Paul's not really a forehand approach guy. He's more of a forehand tee shot or more of a driver forehand guy than he is like a little forehand touch approach like Ricky with a harp or something like that. But I have no doubt he's fully capable of throwing that shot if he wished to. What is he going to throw to kind of replace the Nova? I'm not quite sure. We'll find out. But I think he's got plenty of options. If he chooses to putt with roaches, I'm sure he could throw a big Z roach and be just fine with that. Or, yeah, many other options. He's got plenty of options. I think it's very likely we see him throw a Vulture. I'm actually quite surprised that the Vulture wasn't in the initial kind of 4 discs over the Undertaker. I think the Vulture's a better disc overall. The Undertaker is definitely not as overstable. They're not exactly the same or anything, but I think the Vulture is a better disc. It's a newer release. I think we'll see him throw those. They're very similar to a Thunderbird. He's been very successful with Thunderbirds over the year. And then it was a Z-Force in that image. Does that mean that's what he's going to throw? Does that mean that's what they picked based on popularity for him to have a signature disc? They're going to try to pick the one that sells the best? I don't really know. I bet he's going to throw ESP, Swirl ESP Forces is what he's going to throw. Last episode we talked about the image he put up on Instagram, and I can confirm the whole run picture with the crown on it and all that stuff that you guys probably saw floating around the internet. He confirmed on Smashbox that they were AVR stamped swirly destroyers, and I can't remember if he said that he had ESP forces next to him or like underneath those in the stack or something like that. But yeah, it was just the crown was there to cover up the wires coming out of his TV. It was like just kind of a troll post. I don't think there was much to it. I think he was just kind of throwing it out there to kind of confuse people like I suspected all along. It turns out apparently Dynamic Discs did kind of try to get into the negotiations for Paul and try to bring him back in. I don't know if maybe they just couldn't quite come to terms there or if things were too far along with Discraft or what the situation was, but I believe Jeremy Rusko on his updates with Bobby does the dynamic updates thing, which I enjoy, by the way. I think that's a fun segment that they do. he mentioned that they tried to talk to Paul. Paul mentioned it on Smashbox, and I believe Jeremy also said that Latitude tried really hard to hold on to Ricky and just couldn't make it happen financially, which is interesting. We'll see how that goes. I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm not misquoting there, but I believe that's what he said. I'd have to go back and watch it again. Man, so yeah, it's a done deal. Paul's going to Discraft. One funny side thing about all this is that Nate Doss got wind of all this and got in touch with Paul and was kind of hesitant about it, from based on the way Paul was describing the conversations, almost as though he was just protective and like, why? Why are you doing this right now? Are you sure? What's the point of this? And it feels to me very much so is that Nate's trying to protect Discraft, and he sees them as family, and that's what Paul said as well. And the thing that's funny about this is that I basically picture the like kind of cliche TV show kind of what are your intentions for my daughter conversation between like a dad and the boyfriend who's coming around, or that sort of thing. It's like, what are your intentions for my Discraft? Like, what are you trying to do here? What's the deal? But I have no doubt that once they talked it out, Paul said that he got Nate's blessing, and that was important to him. And I have no doubt that there's a tremendous amount of mutual respect and friendship between those two gentlemen. And two more than three and four world championships apiece on the same team now, which is pretty cool. And then you have Val there as well. So Discraft immediately has taken a big jump, and the number of world championship titles they have. Paul was not throwing Discraft when he won any of those, so that's I guess a side note of all this, but pretty interesting to have a 4-time and a 3-time men's pro open world champion on the same team at this point. Interesting. So other thoughts I have for all this. I think there's some pressure on Paul, whether he wants to admit it or not. Paul loves pressure, and he performs very well under it, so I have no worries regarding that. But hypothetically, so we're just going to talk this one through, purely hypothetical. Ricky goes to Innova. Paul, we know, is on Team Discraft. They come out the first 5 events. Ricky wins 4 of them. Paul wins 1. Maybe Paul doesn't win any of them. Maybe he comes 2nd, 3rd. Maybe he takes a 5th in there. Is that going to immediately be a detriment to Discraft? Are people going to be like, oh, here it is. See, it's, he can't throw that garbage. Discraft's garbage, blah, blah, blah. The kind of fanboy team, I'm on team this, I'm team iPhone, I'm team Android, like humans are stupid about this kind of thing. And I think there's a good chance that if Paul comes out and tanks next year and just has an off year, regardless of the plastic, I have no doubt that the plastic performs just as good, if not better, than Innova plastic. I've felt throughout the years, based on my own testing on a personal just my own personal investigation, testing, and experience with both manufacturers, quite a bit of both of them, I feel as though Discraft is every bit as good as Innova, if not more consistent and better performing in a lot of aspects. I think Discraft has made and continues to make fantastic plastic that flies amazing, has great feel, and they give you all the different tools that you need to be successful as a professional disc golfer. I have absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. But if Paul comes out and just has a bad year, I think it's going to be really bad for Discraft. I think it could be an absolute catastrophe for them to spend this much money and for Paul to come out and lose to Ricky and Simon and Eagle, and maybe Kevin Jones gets more wins. Maybe we see Dickerson out there more. He takes down some wins. Conrad. There's so many players that are vying for those top spots now. It's not just the Paul and Ricky show anymore. We saw that last season with some other winners kind of bumping up in there, especially Eagle. It could be very bad for Discraft to have Paul go there and then not be at the top of his game next season. So I think there's a lot of pressure on him there. especially if Ricky does go to Innova, and if Ricky gets back on track next season. He had kind of an off year this last year. If Ricky comes out hot, Team Innova, and he steamrolls the first 5 events and Paul doesn't win any of them or something like that, it could be a potentially pretty bad situation for Discraft in terms of the amount of money that they've spent on Paul and the return that they're hoping to see on that. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll see Paul be just as good as he ever was, if not better, with this Discraft plastic. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if that were to happen, I could see that being a big problem for Discraft. They're splashing out a lot of money on Paul. Are they going to see a return on this? Where we don't know. We don't know. We have no idea. We're going to find out. I still don't necessarily see too many people that are big-time Innova throwers following Paul and switching their full bag out to Discraft. I think those players will be far more likely to try a Discraft disc with Paul's name on it if they're big Paul fans, and maybe they'll determine that it'll flies great and they like it. Maybe we'll see a return to the kind of old school bag that was when I started out. The name of this channel was Discraft and Innova because that's what I threw, and that's what everybody threw. There was no real other options. We had like Lightning and Gateway in those days. You know, there were a lot of people that would putt with Wizards, Innova drivers, Discraft mid-ranges. That was an extremely common thing to see. Discraft putters, Innova drivers, buzzes. You know, you saw a lot of interplay between those two main companies. I myself used to throw like a Star AVR, and I had, what else did I have for Innova for a while there? Valkyries. I would throw Valkyries and stuff like that, but then I had buzzes in there, and I had the Predator and my Nuke and Forces and Surge SS. So I used to do a big blend of both of those companies. Eventually, I moved to a full Discraft bag, and at that point, I kind of rebranded this whole thing as the Disc Golf Nerd, which I think was a good plan. I'm really happy I did that. That was probably one of the smarter decisions I ever made, was to kind of establish the Disc Golf Nerd channel as my thing. I think that was a smart decision. A little pat on my own back there for that one. That was a good idea. It really just came out of necessity because I was no longer throwing Innova, and I felt weird having a channel called Discraft and Innova when I wasn't throwing it anymore. That was the long and the short of it. I don't even know where the idea for Disc Golf Nerd. Yeah, I'm not even sure where I really came up with that. I was just kind of thinking about it because a lot of my videos are just kind of, nerdy, kind of geeking out on plastic and flight numbers and understable, overstable, and a lot of the early content that I tried to make for people. So I guess it kind of made sense. I'm really glad I did that. Tangent over. I think that's about all I really got for you guys today. I don't really have much to tell you other than that. Again, I could talk for 2 hours about this Disc Golf Pro Tour thing, but I'm going to reserve that until I kind of get the I'm going to kind of reserve all that until we see what plays out here. But my initial thoughts for sure is just genuine sadness that I will not get to watch Smashbox next season, and it looks very likely I will not get to watch Jomez on the Disc Golf Pro Tour either. And both of those things make me really sad personally, and I think they're mistakes. Other than that, we're going to wait until they announce what's happening. Cyber Monday today. Lots of different disc golf retailers and manufacturers having deals online right now on all kinds of various different disc golf products. Disc Golf Center is doing 15% off the whole site right now, which is rad. I ordered myself a couple of things. What I did last year is I think sometime in early December, I got myself a first run Gobi. I essentially just had it shipped, and then once it got here, I gave it to my wife, and I didn't open it. And I was like, wrap this for me for my birthday. So that's what I'm doing again this year. I got myself a Deco Dye Caltrup and a titanium Thrasher to test out. Speaking of hashtag fresh plastic here, I have 2 new discs that I will be testing relatively soon. One for review, one just personally. I have the Z Crystal Sparkle Thrasher. I don't really like the feel of it very much, but I hear that these are much more stable than other Thrashers, and I'm kind of seeing if I can get another layer out of having this plastic type in my bag, cover myself on another shot, while still kind of staying under the Thrasher mold umbrella, because the Thrasher is just so money for me. And then I also got my hands on a Dana Vici Dynamite 175 grams S-Line CD2, the Roaming Thunder swirly S-Line CD2. Rad stamp. Big pop top on this bad boy. And I'm really excited to get out and throw this thing. I'm a big Dana fan. He's such a nice dude. I met Dana several years ago, pre-Beaver State Fling. I played around with him, Paul Oman, Sarah Hokum, and I believe Dana's now wife, who they were just dating at the time. I could be wrong, but I think me and my buddy Mike tagged along for a practice round pre-Beaver State Fling out at Milo with them. And it was just such a cool experience to see these pros throwing, and Dana was throwing these big shots, and Sarah Hokum's forehand was crazy. She went on to win Worlds that same year, like 2 weeks later. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I met Dana that one time. He knows now that we're kind of both on Team Smashbox, kind of, in a way, since we both provide. He comes on as a regular segment, I'm a regular segment. But every time I run into Dana out at the Beaver State Fling, he always remembers me. He's always super nice. Huge smile, big handshake. Just a great dude. Just an absolute great dude. Dana's awesome. So I'm really happy to support him by getting my review out. And I've also really stoked to finally accomplish something that I've wanted to do for a while now, and that is have the player themselves sponsor a review of their signature disc. This will be the first time that somebody has sent me their signature or their Tour Series disc to sponsor the video themselves. So Dynamite sponsored the Dana Vici CD2 Roaming Thunder review. I'm stoked about that. I can't wait to get out and test it. I'll also post a short review for it on Smashbox, naturally. I mean, that makes all the sense in the world. We'll wait definitely for a weekend, for a week when Dana's for sure going to be on the show. We'll make that happen as soon as I get the testing done. One very cool thing that's going on right now as well, another thing that we've seen Discraft kind of roll out recently, is their Star Wars licensing deal. This is crazy. This came out of left field, and I had no idea this was happening. You can order these right now, pre-order them on sunkingdiscs.com. Another one of my generous sponsors here on my channel, hoping to work with them on some other videos coming up real soon, actually. They have a bunch of great plastic. I mean, they have a ton of great plastic overall, but they also have pre-orders now for, you can get the whole set. You can get a Chewbacca full foil, super color, Death Star, the Darth Vader, Millennium Falcon. They have one with just the Star Wars logo with a really colorful background. That's pretty rad. That's probably the one I would throw, if anything, because it has a really nice bright color to it. Stormtrooper and a full color, full foil super color Buzz with Yoda on it as well. I believe they're all Buzzes as of right now. I would love to see some Star Wars just stamps come out. Here's my ultimate. It would be so rad if this happened. Pearly white Big Z plastic with Stormtrooper stamps on them. That would be awesome. Just a black Stormtrooper hot stamp on a pearly white Big Z Thrasher. That would just be so money. I would buy a few of those immediately. That would be pretty cool. But either way, big move for Discraft. I mean, people have been asking DD about Star Wars since they announced the Marvel stuff. That was a cool move that they pulled off, and this is a big deal. Star Wars is a big brand, and I think that's really cool, man. It's very cool. There are obviously a ton of Star Wars fans that throw discs, and people have been getting Star Wars, dip dies and stencil dies and stuff forever. So yeah, it makes all the sense in the world to make that happen, and it's pretty fun. You can pre-order them again right now, sunkingdiscs.com. And they're 20% off at the moment too, I think, for pre-order. So they're $20, which isn't that big of, isn't really that bad for a full foil disc. The Darth Vader one and the Yoda one in particular, really rad. Very cool stuff. And this kind of all aligns with something that Paul Mcbeth was saying about Discraft that I think is very interesting. Essentially, what he was saying is that right after the great kind of Prodigy Dynamic Discs divide that happened, I need to look up what year that was, just for my own personal edification, but A ton of players left Discraft and Innova to form Prodigy, and then some of those players went and moved to start throwing dynamic discs. Some of the players that were already on Team DD in those days: Dixon Jowers, Eric McCabe, Pat Blazik, Ron Converse, a bunch of different players. And then a bunch of players left Discraft to go to Prodigy as well. Big Germ, Katrina, I believe Sarah Hokum in those days, Paige, Ricky left Innova. I don't know if Nico was on Innova before that or what the deal was there. I can't remember. Maybe Nico went Innova after Prodigy. Anyway, when that all happened, Discraft kind of was a little bit frustrated that they had kind of lost their entire team, or the vast majority of their team, during this divide. A bunch of their players left. Eric McCabe was a former world champion. He left, etc., etc. And they kind of decided that Discraft and Disc Golf wasn't going anywhere. And what they would do was kind of use some of the money they were saving on player sponsorships and stuff to kind of build everything and get their feet under them and get ready for when Disc Golf, they saw that timing of the kind of resurgence of Disc Golf, and they saw that this new expansion and new growth happen, and they would be ready. And it looks very much as though that is exactly what they are rolling out right now. We have the new media manager involved. We've seen some in the bags. We've seen some very, very well done commercial type review videos. The video that they put out for the Heat is tremendous. I think arguably one of the best review videos we've seen in the sport of disc golf. Really impressed with that video. I can't come close to touching the quality of that video myself, and I don't necessarily intend to try either. I kind of like doing my thing, but regardless of any of that, we've seen all that happen. Then we've seen them splash out money, big money, to bring in the number one guy. The number one guy. Make no mistake about it. Eagle's a big star. Ricky's a big star. Simon's got a ton of fans. Paul's still the guy. No doubt about it. They went after the guy, and they got him. They brought him in. Now with this Star Wars licensing, all their plastic is dialed in. The swirly ESP is coming out looking unbelievable. Their Big Z plastic is tremendous. They've got a ton of molds. They've got a ton of different plastic variations. Every year for the Ledgestone, they release a ton of specialty stuff and different runs, new plastic blends for different molds, and they're ready to rock. So they're putting a big push into the year 2019 and beyond, and I like to see it. I've been a big supporter of Discraft over the years, and yeah, it's great. I'm stoked about it. All right, guys. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. If you're catching this episode early on, my Thanks giveaway is still live right now. I'm giving away a Double G Tour Series Sonic and a bunch of and a bunch of Discmania stickers that Dynamite sent me, along with his CD2 Roaming Thunder that I'll be reviewing soon. So yeah, just head over to my channel. Check out the video there, Thanks giveaway, and enter. This is a Google form you got to fill out. Make sure you're subscribed. All the usual stuff, and you can enter to win a Garrett Girthy Sonic. I will absolutely be doing a holiday giveaway as well. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do. I'll do some kind of nice holiday giveaway. See if I can't secure a few nice things to give away to you guys for the holidays. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. Just stayed home with my wife. Ate a ton of food. I think we'll be killing off the rest of the leftovers tonight for dinner. And yeah, it's been great. Heading into the Christmas season, the holiday season. Hope you guys are all doing well, and hopefully the weather holds out enough for you to still throw some plastic over the next few months. I know I will be trying to do that here in the Valley in Portland. The weather's pretty manageable. I actually kind of want to go throw right now. All right, guys. Much love to everybody out there. I really appreciate your support. You guys are the best. I'll talk to you all very soon. Cheers.